Alright guys, today we'll be going over the basics of the game, um, including your options in the graphics menu, sound, and control, and then also a few other things too. So first let's start off with the menu. In the general options, I think this was on the profanity filter. I turned it off. I turned on auto loot, show all enemy names, NPC names, and player names. Those are all on. Show skill recharge. I also turned up the, the rotation speed on the camera. It's really slow by default. It's all the way down. I didn't like it all the way up too. I felt like I was getting dizzy, like I was on an amusement park ride or something. So I chose to put it down so I wouldn't get sick playing the game. So it's at right in the middle, so it's like medium. I think that's a good level. I think down all the way is just way too slow, especially for PvP. Maybe you can get by with it in PvE. I don't know. This I'm gonna change in the future because I just haven't figured out what I'm going to bind it to yet, but double tap to evade is checked, but eventually I want to keybind that to something, because being able to use an ability while evading without having to double tap, it gives you more control and it makes you quicker. Anytime something makes you quicker, that's the way you want to go, especially in PvP. It won't matter as much in PvE, but in PvP every quarter of a second matters. So then I have double click to attack or interact checked, stop attacking on target change checked, auto targeting checked, and melee attack assist check. The other ones are your choices. That's just what I have. Okay, on to graphics options. First thing I changed was the gamma. I thought the game was too bright, way too bright. So I turned it down a little bit so the colors look a little bit richer, and I can actually tell what's going on a little bit more. Let's see. Environment level, I have it high. It's not mandatory to have it high, but I like it high.
Excelsior.
On the other hand, LOD distance, this draws things in the distance. This you definitely want high, or the highest you could run it. It's pretty important. Reflections doesn't matter. Maybe a little bit, but textures I have as high. Just run that as high as you can get it. Let's see. Shadows. I don't like shadows in any game. I keep them low. I've never really found a game where having high shadows is something you really want. It's I don't know about this game. Most games it's pretty taxing on the processor and the video card. Depends on how the game runs. EQ2 is extremely computer intensive. Most games aren't as bad as EQ2 though, so they don't. They more use the video card. I just keep on low. I can run it. I have i7-920 overclocked to, I believe it's 3.3. So I can run it, and I have a 580 GT. So I can run it fine. I just choose not to. Shaders. This affects a bit. I just keep it at high. You can do whatever you want with it. This one's a pretty big deal. Post-processing. This is basically all your lighting, or a lot of the lighting. And there's one thing in here I've never been a fan of. Let's see if you can see. Okay, bloom effect. Ever since I first seen bloom effect, which I think was in a Korean MMO, I've never liked it. It makes things real shiny and plastic looking. As soon as I turned on this game, I realized it had bloom effect on it, and I wanted to turn it off. It gives everything a real fake look. I like things a little bit more realistic looking. So I have it off. It's also easier for me to tell what's going on. I don't like a lot of flashing lights everywhere, and For me, it's a lot more important to know what's actually going on, and for it to be a little bit easier on the eyes. So it's off. And then the rest of this, that's up to you. None of this is mandatory. Sound options, only thing I changed I think was master value. Control options, there's a lot of stuff in here. Very first thing you want to do, unbind turn left and turn right. It's terrible. Instead of turn left, make it strafe left. Instead of turn right, make it strafe right. It'll just make your control of your character a lot better. Trust me, it's terrible to keep it otherwise. And even if you're not used to it, you'll get used to it. It's much better in the long run, honestly. Let's see what else. So now this is going to be a bit different for everyone as far as the weapon skills go. But if you can see the mouse, I use the Razer Naga. It's pretty good for MMOs. I like it a lot. I used it in MMOs, League of Legends. I think it's better in those type of games. Nice thing about the Naga is it's got 1 through 12 here on the side. And it's a mechanical operation that uses for 1 through 12. So you don't need any software to run it, which is one of the main reasons I wanted this mouse when I found that out. So yeah, it basically uses the numpad 1 through 12, or it can use the normal 1 through 1 through 0, and the minus and plus sign on the normal keyboard. But I chose the numpad. You can change it on the bottom. There's a little switch here. So anyway, enough about the mouse. But I like it for this game. I think it works out really well. It gives you a little bit more control. And I still keybind stuff on the keyboard, so it's not a complete replacement. So anyway, I'll go over what I did. Swap weapons is the middle mouse button. I don't know if I'm going to keep it as that, but it's there for now. Weapon skills 1 through 6 are all on the Naga. 7, 8, and 9 I don't like at all, because I have to think for a split second where 7, 8, 9 is when I go to click it every time, and it's a waste of time, and it slows you down, and it's not consistent, so I don't like it. So 7, 8, 9, if you're using this mouse, don't use it, in my opinion. So anyway, 7, 8, 9 I keybind it to the keyboard. 7 I have is Q, 8 I have is E, 9 is F. Then I go back to the Naga for 10. 10's in a real good place. It's on the bottom left-hand corner. So it's really good right there. Everything else, these are default. I think the rest of this. Oh, and then I changed zoom in, zoom out, because I thought I could use mouse wheel up and down. For some reason I can't in this game. It's really bizarre that you can't use mouse wheel up and down for a keybind. So hopefully they change that. I'm not sure why it's like that in this game. So anyway, okay, I want to go over 2 more things. The other thing I want to go over is the skills and how they work. So when you equip a weapon, if you look down here, let me close this actually. You look down here, you have one. This is a thief, by the way, so maybe you'll recognize the skill set. And he's using daggers. So anyway, down here you have 1 through 5. 1 through 5 is based on what weapon you're using in your main hand and offhand. So an example is a 2-handed weapon. We'll use 1 through 5. A 1-handed weapon in the main hand will use 1 through 3. The offhand, such as a shield or a torch, will use 4 and 5. That's how that works. 6 through 10 are your abilities that hopefully you based off of what points on what build that you're going for. You want to have a purpose. I'll give you an example. For this thief, I went max damage. So if you look over here in Deadly Arts, this is just an example. This isn't, don't worry if you don't know thief, it's not a big deal. So if you look over here, it's going to show two things that this raises. Not necessarily stats, but the first one and this one in Deadly Arts raises power. The second one does condition duration, which would be like your bleeds and poisons. They would last longer on your target. So you get a lot of power, which is your raw damage, and you get a bit of more condition damage. This isn't a big condition or duration. Duration, it's not really for the damage in this build. It's just you need something on them constantly because you get a bonus in damage. And then if you look here on these, this is your minor abilities, the 5, 15, and 25. You can't change those. Those take effect when you have that many points in it. Now once you get up to 10, then 20, then 30, you have your more major abilities. So you click on the arrow in the box, and then it'll show you the different options that you have. And they're tiered. So this would be like the tier 1. So you'd have Roman numeral 1 through 5. Then for 20, you know, you're going to have 5 through 10. Or I'm sorry, 6 through 10. That would be the second tier. Then the third tier, you get 2 more. So that's how that works. And even if you don't have points in it, if you just want to look and see what the major or the minor ones are, the minor ones you can just hover over. The major ones you can click the arrow and look before you invest points. So you can try to figure out what kind of build you want to do. So in this build, like I said, increased power, increased condition duration. Then I have points in critical strike. Critical strike gives critical damage, and precision, which is basically critical percentage. So I'm getting critical percentage, critical damage. So I'm doing more damage on every crit as well, critting more often and doing more damage on the crit. And then from the Deadly Arts, I have more power. So you see how this all kind of works together. So these are the kind of things you want to do in your builds. You want a purpose. You could go more support route, or you could go more a tricky route or healing route. Depends on what you want to do. This is a max damage build. So anyway, enough of that. One last thing I wanted to show you guys. Okay, first of all, this is the PvP, the main the main area for it, where you can queue up and get all your abilities and stuff. Right? Okay, this building right here. Okay, recognize it? If you go behind here, and if there is a place to teleport behind here, I'd love to know, but I couldn't find one. This is still the closest way to get there that I know of. It's a pretty bad way to get there, but... So if you jump behind the building or just drop down, come down here. We have this in Guild Wars 1. That's why I was looking for it. Because it's pretty important. You need to know how much damage you can do to a target. So you have heavy armor, which would be like your warrior and guardian, as an example. So this would kind of mimic how much damage you would do on them. Not completely. This is just a raw heavy armor. It doesn't take in consideration all the buffs and everything else. So it's not an exact science, but it's definitely it'll definitely help you out. Then you have medium armor, be like your ranger, your thief, and then your light armor. So you can test out how much damage you do, you know, on each armor, and see, you know, where you stand on damage. Maybe you want to get more damage in your build or whatever. Now this is pretty neat. The NPCs you find in the PvP battlegrounds, they give buffs to your party. And you get a little bit of a team score. So you want to kill these if you can. Now the cool thing with testing it is you can if you really wanted to, you can make like a build that probably work better with heavy plate classes, just because they can absorb a little bit more damage. Especially like the Guardian, because he can heal too in several different ways, and he's got protection effects and all kinds of good stuff. He's basically like a paladin. So anyway, you can come up with like a solo build to solo these NPCs and free up the rest of your team to be taking points and everything else. And that way you don't have to go into a PvP battleground and test this. You can test it right here. So there's Chieftain Udahain. And we've got the Vicious Bear, Savanir. So you can test your stuff, and then they also have your lords that you can test to see if you can take these guys out too. You normally want to pull the soldiers first, then the caster, then the lord. So anyway, that's pretty much it, guys. I'll do some future videos. Hope that helped you guys out a little bit. But yeah, I'll be covering more stuff in the future, and subscribe. Thanks, guys.